This is a brand new segment I'm doing. I'm calling it Telltale Reads. So I wanted to read through some of the crazier books out there because on my other channels, I talk about wingnuts and the crazy things that they say on video. I do long form breakdowns, I do short form breakdowns, but I don't read. So I wanted to read some of the crazier books out there. And the book that we have today is called QAnon, An Invitation to the Great Awakening by WWG1WGA. It stands for Where We Go One, We Go All. It's a QAnon phrase. This book, I believe, was on the top seller list on Amazon when it came out for a while. And then there was a huge crackdown where they started censoring a bunch of QAnon stuff. They kicked a bunch of QAnon accounts off of Twitter and all kinds of stuff. Then the book came down, and it was impossible to find. You have no idea how much time and effort went into finding a copy of this, especially in PDF form. So I thought it'd be an interesting read. It says it was published in 2019. That sounds about right. And the authors and contributors, I guess they mostly put their usernames or whatever. Radix, Red Pill 78, Serial Brain 2, Space Shot 76. A lot of them are anonymous and didn't want to be named. From what I heard after this book came out, people were fighting over who gets the money from it and all kinds of stuff, and it just went downhill quickly. So they collectively signed it, Where We Go One, We Go All. That's who they listed as the author. So anyway, let's take a look here. An introduction, page 1. Let's take a look at the contents. The Plan to Save the World, page 3. General Michael Flynn describing the QAnon movement. When will it become mathematically impossible? The day I knew Q wasn't a hoax. Decoding and deciphering Q. Changing the narrative. The power of memes. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Characters of Obamagate/Spygate. Obamagate was complete nonsense that Trump made up to get back at Obama, to scare the shit out of him and make him shut up, basically, and stop criticizing Trump. Trump came out with the Obamagate stuff immediately after Obama criticized Trump for the first time. When he first mentioned Obamagate, he didn't specify what it was. He just came out and said, you know what it is. You know exactly what it is, but the media won't report on it. That's Trump's MO. That's what he does. And he turned a whole conspiracy out of it, and he created a whole conspiracy out of it. And that's how it ended up in a QAnon book. Schumer's Shutdown, page 163. The Election of a Lifetime, Human Compromise, the Currency of the Powerful, The Fake MAGA Problem, and The Day I Helped Q Make Alex Jones Cry. Wow. The Resistance is On, It's Time to Wake Up, and Glossary. So those are the pages. Those are the chapters or whatever. They have an index at the back that defines terms and words that they have. So anyway, it's going to be entertaining as hell in my opinion. Let's read the introduction, shall we? Introduction. This is the beginning. There is so much to tell you. So much has happened and so much has been hidden. But we have to start somewhere, so this is it. So ominous. A book is typically a big project, but we're from the era of DMs and PMs and online comments. So we're going to do this one together like we always do. There's this old saying from back in the last century, many hands make light work. We know all about that working together idea. We call it Where We Go One, We Go All. So that's who we are as a team, WWG1WGA. The reality that we share the same future encourages us to work together. Yes, we're real people with real jobs, real families, and real futures, and that scares the shit out of me. The fact that these people are just, they could be serving me like my salami on rye at, I don't know, where do you get one of those? I don't even eat those sandwiches. They could be serving it to me, though. It's possible. Disturbing stuff, man. But many of us prefer to remain anonymous. Yeah, like I said, most of the people who wrote this were anonymous. We don't think we should have to put the things we value the most at risk to make a contribution to our world when our names aren't important. What we have to say could be. We'll let you be the judge. That's interesting. So, a lot of the time, the right... Okay, here's the thing about the far right, especially about, like, far-right conspiracy theorists. and Republican senators and congressmen, politicians in general, they will take whichever position is most convenient for them to take in the moment. If it's most convenient for them to side with the idea that anonymity is better, they will, just like we just read. If they think it's better and more politically advantageous for them to side with the idea that you shouldn't hide behind the title of anonymous source, if you have something to say, then you should show your face, they hide behind that too. Whatever is most politically advantageous. I guess they picked this one in this case. Mostly, we'd like to share about what has happened in the recent past that has changed so many things for us, both together and as individuals. One of the things we have in common is that we all discovered QAnon, an online poster, or a group that speaks as one, with a different voice and an insider's perspective. No, we actually know exactly who QAnon is now. We know exactly who started the movement. It was most likely Paul Ferber and Tracy Beans Diaz. That's who started the movement originally. When they moved over to 8chan from 4chan, a different messaging board that works basically the same way, a guy named Ron Watkins took it over. And his dad, the owner of the servers and the message board, Jim Watkins, they worked together. If you don't know who Ron and Jim Watkins are, I'll just show you an example. This is Ron Watkins running for office and holding a debate with his political opponent. He's running for Congressional District 2 in Arizona, I believe.
My name is Ron Watkins, and I am not a politician. I am an entrepreneur, and I'm a computer scientist. We have to send a fighter, and I am your fighter. I am fighting for you. If you send me to DC, you will know that I will be fighting against this evil, and I will make sure that we drive them back, and I will make sure that your rights are kept.
I would have said protected, but kept works, I suppose.
Biggest issue for this district is the border wall. The border wall was not completed.
So anyway, that's Ron Watkins in a nutshell. That is Q. That's the guy who runs the QAnon account. Although he likes to threaten lawsuits if people say that. That's my opinion, but I'm very, very confident. And so is basically every news agency out there. If you go looking, that's who turns up. Anyway, let's keep reading. One of the things we have in common is that we all discovered QAnon, an online poster or group that speaks as one, with a different voice and an insider's perspective. They believe that Q is somebody very high up in government who has classified intel and is trying to lead people to correct conclusions about it. It's all nonsense. It was Ron Watkins all along. He's just some programmer who tricked a whole bunch of gullible suckers into believing nonsense. The messages QAnon has offered have been cryptic, but at the same time insightful and full of foresight. No, they haven't. We work together to understand the messages and share them with the larger world. While we know that our interest in QAnon has been vilified by the mainstream media, following QAnon's posts has given us insights and flashes of the future. No, it hasn't given you flashes of the future. This is called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. So Q makes a bunch of ambiguous claims that don't really make much sense at all. You can't really figure out what he's trying to say. A bunch of people throw out like a billion ideas about what he could be talking about. Scattershot. And in 6 months, one of the ideas that the interpreters threw out happened to take place. That's the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. Ignore the misses, focus in on the hits. Doesn't give you foresight into the future. Following QAnon posts have given us insights and flashes of the future, taught us history, shown us fresh possibilities, and challenged us to think on our own and to dig for information. QAnon has also inspired us to work together, probably the primary reason for this oppression we're experiencing. At last, it seems we've been befriended by someone who has our best interests at heart. I guess Q befriended them, apparently. Wow, these must be some lonely people. As decades of deceit and lies are revealed, so is the plan for dealing with them. As thinking, caring people, we know there is a great deal at stake. We trust that the plan is well underway and the plan is working. The intensity of the media's ridicule and social media censorship tells us that we are over the target. They live in a delusional world. It's honestly sad. Our job is to generate a future that reclaims the reins of power from the forces that would abuse our children and enslave us. Children are the perfect victims to talk about for QAnon. Everybody wants to save the children. So QAnon comes in making all these absurd claims about how children are in danger, or blah, 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 and it gets a whole bunch of people on board. For the children! Our intention is to take them back and restore power to we the people. We are committed to achieving that for all of us, you included. So welcome to our book about our experiences with QAnon. We hope you find it both revealing and empowering. This is your invitation to the Great Awakening. Please read this book with an open mind and an open heart. No. There are real consequences for all of us from what you'll be learning here. And when you're done with the book, please share it with someone you care about. Thank you. That's the introduction.